What's going on, everybody? This Afro Think Tank. Black man gives his review on the Odyssey, and now I got to go see it. All right, now listen. I was already going to go see the movie. All right, because it's been amped up by all the mid-white people online talking about how woke it was. So you already know I was going to go see it, right? Because this is Christopher Nolan. All right, Christopher Nolan. He ain't white, by the way. I don't care how pale his skin is. He's clearly light skinned. All right, I almost want to call him black. All right, he getting the card, all right? But the way this dude started to describe the movie, right? Because first of all, if you look on IMDb, look at the rotten what is it, the score? What's the tomato score, whatever? Either way, it got a high score. So all those white people, all right, them white men who was online, the ones there's a whole section of YouTube where white men complain about why all the characters are not white men. Like there's not enough characters of white men that got a whole bunch of powers. They want to make sure that every character is white. And if it's not a white man that's the main character and everything, then it's a problem. And the Odyssey is not it's not a true story. It's an epic. It's a fairy tale. And it's a fairy tale about a time when most people in that area was my complexion. All right. And it's currently being played by a whole bunch of Nordic, white, Germanic, Francophone Europeans who were not those people, because those people, all right, were more related to me than they were related to them. But you can't tell mid-level white folks this shit, because to them, everybody who's anybody is supposed to be white. All right, so just because pissed them off, I was gonna go to the theater to see it. All right, this one of the ones I ain't go see Supergirl. I didn't see that. I'm gonna wait for that one to come out. I heard about that one, right? And there's a few of them I ain't went to go see. I'm gonna wait for that shit to come out on. I can watch that shit on one of these streaming networks. But Christopher, no, I'm going tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm gonna see the movie, because the way he had me amped, the way he explains shit is the way I explain shit. The way he explained his movie is the way I would explain the movie after watching the movie and wanting to make sure somebody else go see the movie. And I was like, oh, I would go right now. Like right now, I would go right now, but it's too late. It's too late. I can't go right now because it's sold out, right? But I'm going tomorrow to go see this movie, all right? Because apparently all the mid-level white folks who said, oh, it's gonna fail because nobody wants, well, I don't know why these guys, they don't realize that the majority world is melanated and we want to see other shit. Helicopters. It wasn't me. I ain't do it. Might as well get him in the film, right? Might as well get him in the film. Oh, 2 helicopters. Always 2. There's always 2 of them, right? Right. Anyway, I'm going to see this movie because he got me amped. Christopher Nolan is Omega level genius. Omega level genius, all right? I wish there were more Christopher Nolans, because we only got one. And no one does it like Christopher Nolan. He makes you go to a movie, and when you watch it, you're satiated. You know, you ever go to a movie and you thought it was gonna be good, and then it ain't shit, or it's mid, and like, damn, I just wasted 2 hours and 30 minutes, right? But with a Christopher Nolan movie, it's worth getting the $40 Cheetos. It's worth getting the $50 popcorn. It's worth getting the nachos with the extra cheese. It's worth getting up and going and refilling your extra mega large cup twice, all right? And when you got to use the bathroom, you got to hurry the hell up, because you don't want to miss a moment, because you know the person you went with is not going to tell you what happened because they were paying attention to the movie. They weren't paying attention to you. Like, this is one of those where it's an event. Christopher Nolan, we all got to get this man his props. One of the best movie makers in the history of all cinema. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. This ain't got nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. I mean, Lupita, she in there. All right, and she's playing a goddess, all right, which makes sense because them Greeks was worshiping black folk back then. Therefore, that makes historical sense. It's historically accurate, so I'm cool with it. Anyway, you guys tell what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
So I truly think that we as a society are entering a point in time where it is now time to start having real discussions about what begins to occur when we all gather to witness what is deemed as a Christopher Nolan film. Because y'all have to understand, this brother dropped tickets for this movie a year in advance after coming off of what many had already deemed his magnum opus in Oppenheimer. He had dropped these tickets a year in advance. He now owns the IMAX screens for the next 4 weeks, and on top of that, for the next 2, including weekdays, damn near all shows in a majority of states are sold out. And ladies and gentlemen, you may think that people are over-exaggerating when they say they're going to see a Christopher Nolan film. You may think people are talking out of the side of their necks when they hype up how exceptional these films are. But we are entering a point in time where these are no longer movies and they are full-length feature epics. We are watching one of the most grandest, masterful storytellers of all time create things that are other freaking worldly, and on top of that, drag his nuts across an IMAX camera for 3 hours and set the literal world on fire twice. Christopher Nolan, you are a madman. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I sit here trying to gather my thoughts, feelings, and emotions towards this movie and communicate to you my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, I feel the best way to really begin my thought process on this movie is by explaining to you that what I feel as if I just witnessed is a flawless demonstration of epic filmmaking at its finest. And the thing that I think I love most about these movies, or these events, as we should just start calling them, is that no matter how you may score the movie by the end of it, whether you give it a 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, whatever score you give this movie, the one thing that is truly undeniable is that you cannot say you are witnessing anything short of peak cinema throughout the entirety of the movie. When you sit down and you witness a Christopher Nolan film, you cannot deny you are watching peak in some fathom of the word. It is absolutely ridiculous what this brother can pull off behind a camera, and it's actually getting insanely scary what he is now able to create in the cinematic world. Christopher Nolan is separating himself, putting himself in conversations where he may be the only person standing at some point in time. It's getting pretty ridiculous. I mean, as a director, you know your movies are cooking with a certain type of sauce when every time they come out, not only is the entire world in a chokehold trying to see it, but when the movie is over off of everyone's first viewing, the entire theater, or a majority of people in that theater as a collective, all ask the question, when can I do that again? That was my entire row, me and all my friends. That was me and the entire freaking theater all sitting there asking ourselves, when can we do that again? And it's harder than you think, because like I said, these theaters are selling out. This shit is insane. I mean, I truly don't even know which one is more impressive. The fact that I lost count on the amount of times that I adjusted myself into the lock-in position, or the fact that I really actually felt real speechlessness at the end of this movie. And what I mean by that is I really couldn't form a sentence. I could not talk. The credits started to roll. My friends are going crazy beside me. Yo, the movie was crazy. Oh my gosh, the movie was this. We got to do that again. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I could not form a sentence. Could not utter a word. I'm sitting there in literal awe and astonishment. And I've said it before. I have said that many times with many different movies that have made me definitely feel that way. But this is the first time that I truly feel like I actually felt the feeling of being speechless and being in literal awe of something for a majority of that film. The last 2 hours, I would truly say, of that movie, I was in another realm. I was transported to an entirely different place, and I really could not believe the ride was over when it was. I felt like I got on the frickin' Demonator. I've said it once, I'll say it as many times as I need to. I rode the Demonator today, and it was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, not only is Christopher Nolan delivering us the biggest blockbusters on the grandest schemes in the highest regimes of all of cinema, but these performances in this movie are enough to make a brother run through a frickin' brick wall, at least maybe 10 of them, especially Matt Damon. My gosh. My goodness, did Matt Damon deliver in this movie. Matt Damon is my Odysseus. Matt Damon is like this dude overly delivered in this movie, man. Matt Damon gave not only an Oscar-worthy performance, but a generationally defining one. Matt Damon in this movie was an absolute tour de force, and for the entire time he is on screen, I was in literal shock. You have Anne Hathaway delivering a masterful performance in this movie. Robert Pattinson continuing to display why he's possibly top 3 in all of Hollywood right now. John Bernthal was exceptional. John Leguizamo gave the performance of his career. I mean, Tom Holland was good. I'll talk about Tom Holland a little bit. Tom Holland was good, though. Tom Holland did a good job. Definitely did a lot better in the second half of the movie, for sure. That third act is the literal definition of narrative nirvana payoff. That is exactly what narrative payoff is supposed to feel like, especially in a 3-hour epic like this. The last hour of this film is non-stop cinematic adrenaline straight to your dome. It is one of the most masterful third acts and one of the most pleasant payoffs I've ever been a part of. I also thought that not only did Corey Hawkins do an exceptional job as well, but Himesh Patel was someone I thought honestly he couldn't steal the show. He couldn't steal the show because there was too many powerhouse actors on screen at once. It was too much going on with that. But I will say, as far as scene-stealing-esque performances go, I think Himesh Patel did an exceptional job, especially standing next to Matt Damon for a majority of the movie. Himesh Patel was one of the most pleasant surprises throughout the entirety of the movie. As far as my critiques towards this movie, and I won't dare call them negatives because they're most certainly not that, but I will say, leaving this movie, the one thing I did say to myself was this. I felt like this movie kind of also demonstrated how exceptional Oppenheimer was. And what I mean by that is, I felt like this movie here was trying to be bigger than Oppenheimer in every way possible. And visually and technologically, yes, the movie most certainly goes there. It most certainly feels grander. It feels bigger. It just feels like it's on a completely different scale than where Oppenheimer was. But because of how smaller and contained of a story that one was, it just made me so much more impressed with how grand and how much of a spectacle Oppenheimer felt like when watching that movie. I mean, personally, it just felt like this movie at times was just trying to be like way too big, and it felt like it was kind of getting in the way of itself sometimes narratively, because I would say with Oppenheimer, I felt the stakes of the conversations happening in that movie a lot more than this one at times, because it took the time to really let you understand not only the stakes, but how pivotal and important all of these characters are, the roles that they play in what's going on, and how all of these conversations are building towards something. There is narrative payoff in both films, but I felt like Oppenheimer, at least from a character development standpoint, had a lot stronger, I would say, emotional beats as well. I would also say that probably performance-wise, if I were to line up the Oppenheimer cast next to the Odyssey cast, I would have to give it to Oppenheimer, because you had guys like Jason Clarke delivering lines like his literal house was being taken the next day, like he was getting evicted. And then you had Casey Affleck, who was only on screen for like a minute, but put the fear of God in people. Then you also had Matt Damon, Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt. Like it was getting crazy. Benny Safdie in that one too. I mean, it was like the performances in Oppenheimer, I think, kind of exceed this one for sure. And I think the writing most certainly exceeds it. But I think what these two movies put on display is that Christopher Nolan is beginning to separate himself and put himself not only in the conversation of greatest director of all time, but it seems as if whatever his events or epics are about to start becoming after this one, he truly might put himself in a class of his own. Because there's no one else right now doing it on this type of scale, on this type of just platform. There's no one delivering like Christopher Nolan right now. Like I said, the dude dropped tickets a year in advance. He owns IMAX screens for the next 4 weeks. And on top of that, for the next 2 weeks, including weekdays, majority of shows are sold out. Not many directors are doing it like that, and Christopher Nolan deserves to be praised for all of that. I haven't even gotten a chance to talk about some of the scenes in this movie that, like I said, truly have you adjusting your position and locking in on multiple occasions. I mean, the Cyclops scene was everything. The Cyclops sequence was literally everything I could have asked for. It literally sent chills and goosebumps down my spine. That's one of the loudest sequences I've ever seen. The movie itself is one of the loudest experiences I've ever had in a movie. It was so loud, but it was so freaking awesome. And on top of that Cersei scene, there were reasons why people said that Christopher Nolan should start doing horror movies or looking into it, because that Cersei sequence in this movie is better than probably 40% of the horror movies I've seen this year. That Cersei sequence was real. That joint was absolutely insane, and I didn't even know Christopher Nolan had that in his arsenal. But that is how dangerous of a director this man is. He just has the ability to do it all. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I did want to take a second to talk about Tom Holland in this movie because, like I said, he did do a good job. But I did think that the second half of the movie is where his performance started to pick up a lot more. And I do understand that his character is not necessarily one that is supposed to be very strong. He is very afraid. He is very sheltered. He is a character that is essentially kind of trying to put on a brave face because his father's not there, but we know he's not really about that life. I got all of that. But I will say there were times throughout this movie where I felt like I was watching Tom Holland get sunned by everyone. And yes, he is standing next to S-tier talent like Robert Pattinson, Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway. Yes, he is standing next to S-tier talent, and it did felt like at times they were acting circles around him. But it also got to a point where he's sitting next to John Bernthal, John Leguizamo, Lupita Nyong'o. Even that, I mean, and they're all exceptional actors as well. But it got to a point where it's like, I feel as if I could probably pick 6 or maybe 7 actors whose performances I preferred over Tom's, who I felt like were a little bit stronger than Tom's. And that is because, for me personally, when Tom Holland is not in the Spidey mask, it feels as if there is something missing. There isn't as strong as a screen presence. I think he did a very good job, especially in the second half. I think his performance definitely got stronger, and maybe his performance will grow on me the more that I see this movie. But I personally felt like in the first half especially, it was really apparent. It was very kind of obvious how kind of outclassed he was in certain areas, especially with acting. But I mean, not especially with acting, but in acting. It's crazy because John Leguizamo in this movie, who I would classify as probably a B-tier actor at best, feels like he is acting circles around Tom Holland as well. And honestly, even when Corey Hawkins is standing next to Robert Pattinson, it feels as if he belongs. Even Himesh Patel, when he's standing next to Matt Damon, it feels as if it feels as if he belongs. Sometimes it felt like to me when I'm watching Tom Holland, it felt more as if he was just like happy to be here, rather than, like I said, in Oppenheimer, when Jason Clarke or Casey Affleck or, somebody of a lesser known name in the movie, even when, yes, these are Oscar winners with Casey Affleck and Rami Malek, but like even when they showed up in the movie, Dane DeHaan, when all of these guys showed up in Oppenheimer, everyone delivered their lines with a certain type of urgency, like everything was on the line. I didn't feel like that from Tom the entire movie. I felt like that more so in the second half than the first half. It just felt like I was getting so much And that honestly may have been just due to the fact that I was getting so much intensity from his scene partners. I was getting so much intensity from Anne Hathaway during like the third or fourth time when she's crying out. I'm just like, yo, Tom, fight back, because she's killing it right now. It's Anne Hathaway, but I'm like, dude, you gotta do something. I do think that this movie most certainly showcased what Tom Holland can become as long as he continues to work at it. I think Tom Holland still has some exceptional promise in acting, and I think that this movie is most certainly a display of that. I just wish I would have gotten a more consistently stronger performance throughout the movie. But I will say overall, I think he did an exceptional, I think he did a very good job. It's just, there are just many other actors in this movie who are delivering on a whole nother level. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, I am just going to say this. The Odyssey is everything that everyone is saying it is, and the only way you're truly going to believe it is if you go witness the movie for yourself. This is nothing short of a grand epic spectacle that Christopher Nolan has once again found ways to completely break the cinesphere and shatter your expectations and shatter what your mind can fathom that movies are possible or capable of doing. He is literally redefining what is possible when you sit down and watch a movie, or when you sit down and just witness peak cinema. He is literally reshaping that in front of our eyes. And honestly, at this point in time, it really seems like the more movies he makes, there's no way he can continue to kind of outdo himself in certain areas. But I fear these movies are only going to get bigger. I fear these movies, not even these movies. I feel these epics and events are only going to get bigger. I feel like these events are only going to become more grander. I mean, it's really getting to a point where Christopher Nolan is starting to enter territory I do not think many well-established directors now have ever been. It's getting to a point where him and possibly Denis Villeneuve after this third Dune movie are entering territories where only they can go right now. Them and possibly Ryan Coogler as well. But it's getting to a point where Nolan is truly in a class, in a world of his own, and these movies or these epics are needing to be witnessed on the biggest screen possible. It has to be IMAX. It's the only way you can watch a movie like this. If you watch it in any other format, go try again, because IMAX is the way to see it.
I'm with the niggas tonight, and it feels alright. I'm with the niggas tonight, and it feels alright. I'm with the niggas tonight, and it feels alright. I'm with the niggas tonight, and it feels alright.
Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.